Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We return now to part 5 of our examination of the film It Happened One Night, and I look forward to diving even deeper into what this film reveals and sharing some bonus notes about the film. Without further ado, I shall begin with the following question. If we may proceed to the picture presently under review, I must confess, I found myself rather taken aback by the appearance of a certain moment, namely the slap upon the posterior. In a production of 1930s vintage, no less, might you perhaps offer some commentary on the inclusion of such a gesture? I am curious, not only as to its narrative function, but what it might reveal, intentionally or otherwise, about the mores, cinematic liberties, and unspoken attitudes of the era in which the film was conceived. That moment, occurring at approximately the 55th minute, in which Mr. Peter Warne delivers a light-hearted slap to Miss Ellie Andrews' posterior, is by any standard of the period unusually forward. One is not at all remiss in finding it momentarily jarring, and yet when viewed through the twin lenses of historical context and character construction, its presence is not altogether inexplicable, nor, in truth, entirely out of place. The early 1930s, though increasingly modern in spirit, remain tethered to traditional notions of public propriety, particularly in matters of physical affection. The screens, governed loosely by emerging codes of decency, still hesitated before depictions that ventured into the realm of the bodily or the flirtatiously physical. A gesture such as this, playful, spontaneous, and unmistakably informal, carries a tone more commonly associated with later decades. Indeed, it nearly startles by its familiarity. Abituli de Sista Osce. Let us unpack the historical aperture, pre-code liberties. It is important to note that It Happened One Night premiered in 1934, the very year the Motion Picture Production Code, colloquially the Hays Code, began its full enforcement. As such, it emerged at the very cusp of a cinematic tightening. This places the film in a narrow but notable window of relative artistic freedom, the so-called pre-code era, during which filmmakers could indulge in a degree of physicality, innuendo, and romantic friction that would soon be heavily suppressed. Had the picture been produced merely a year later, such a scene would likely have been softened, reframed, or excised entirely. It's worth noting, the gesture, while seemingly bold, is not wanton. It arises organically from Mr. Warne's established demeanour, wry, exasperated, and ever tinged with masculine bravado. It is a moment of comic punctuation, not cruelty. Rather than an act of dominance, it is one of familiarity, the kind of feigned authority that grows from a budding rapport. Miss Andrews, for her part, is hardly diminished. The repartee has by this point grown robust enough to absorb such a moment without unsettling the balance of affection and autonomy. The film operates within screwball tradition, a genre defined by verbal wit, gender reversals, and fast-paced courtship. The dynamic between Peter and Ellie is one of mutual resistance and reluctant admiration.
She's no passive recipient of his jests. Indeed, she meets his fire with her own, and the slap becomes merely one more volley in their ongoing skirmish. It is in essence comedic rather than corrective, playful, not punitive.
It may be unexpected, but once understood within its precise historical and narrative moment, it does not transgress. Rather, it signals the last breath of a freer cinematic impulse, one soon to be bound in the velvet ropes of Hollywood decorum. A small gesture, yes, but in its way a telling one.
Scholade.
One perceives with no small clarity that the connection between the two principals is marked not merely by charm or romantic intrigue, but by an undercurrent of mutual regard. Despite the film's origin in the early 1930s, a time when depictions of courtship often lean toward the playful or paternal, Mr. Peter Warren's demeanour toward Miss Ellie Andrews is distinguished by an unmistakable thread of respect. He may jest, he may provoke, but never does he belittle. His sarcasm is never cruel, nor his authority overbearing. Instead, it is the kind of banter that draws its strength from equality, not condescension. And in a genre and period where such dynamics were often softened or stylized, this quiet integrity stands out all the more. Thus, even beneath the scaffolding of screwball antics and romantic friction, one discerns something rare and enduring, a respect that precedes affection and makes the affection worth believing in.
Quite so. And your observation strikes at the very heart of what grants it happened one night its enduring power. Beneath the veneer of quick-witted repartee, physical comedy, and the trappings of romantic misadventure, there flows a subtler, more profound current, that mutual regard. It is this undercurrent of respect that elevates the film from light entertainment to something closer to quiet revelation. When first we meet Miss Ellie Andrews, she is alone, vulnerable, and far removed from the protective confines of her privileged world. A lesser man and a lesser script might have leaned into opportunism, but Peter Warren does no such thing. He aids her, chastises her, even challenges her, but he never seeks to possess her. That famous curtain between their beds is no mere prop. It is a symbol of his self-command. He is no prude, but he is, unmistakably, a gentleman. At the outset, he regards her as little more than a spoilt debutante,
And yet, as their journey unfolds, his gaze softens, not with pity, but with recognition. He sees her grit, her ability to suffer discomfort with grace, her willingness to meet adversity not with complaint, but with resolve. She ceases to be a headline or a headline's heiress, and becomes instead a fellow traveller worthy of dignity. What begins as stubbornness matures into trust. She listens, argues, learns. She does not submit, she evolves. And when she chooses to forsake her opulent but hollow life, it is not for romance alone. It is for the rare and revelatory experience of being treated as an equal. Teacher Warren does not win Miss Andrews. He earns her, not through guile, but through decency, candour, and a willingness to see her clearly. It is not seduction, but integrity that becomes his most persuasive argument.